Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to begin this lesson by giving all praises, glory, and honor, which is due unto Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles, bishops, and others, a great Muslim rule well, and shalom to the Lord's elect, starting with 144,000 prophets. And I wanted to go a little bit into endurance. And the other day I was working. I do like shift work, and it's 12-hour shifts, and the job itself is, it's laborsome. And I was going at like a nice decent pace. With what I do, you gotta have like a bit of a rhythm, and I just had a nice pace. And I was thinking about, while I was doing my work, I was thinking about, if I was to, make haste and rush, then I'd basically gas out, you know and then it got me thinking about how, when you're on a long haul shift, it's about endurance. It's like a marathon, it's not a sprint. And that translates into this truth. The truth, this isn't a sprint. Scriptures talk about, which I'm going to get it, the race is not given to the swift. This is a test of endurance. And that's why, the amount of hell that we catch, and the different trials and tribulations that we go through in this ministry, you have to be disciplined and balance, your your time, your leisure time as well. Because I was thinking about it, I was like, well, pretty much we're here in this kingdom and we're catching hell, but sometimes you gotta, do something to ease your mind. It might be something like, you're gonna watch a movie, or do something you like to do. Maybe you like to get down in the kitchen and cook up a nice meal that you can enjoy. It might be going for a walk in nature. It could be anything like that. But we all have our different things that make us you know that kind of soothe our brains, if you will. And one of the number one ones is reasoning with Akim, or getting together with Akim. That's like in this hell that we catch, it's like when you're under that fire, it's like cool a cool bit of water, you know, being splashed, being splashed onto you. So, I'm gonna get the scriptures, but that's what I was meditating on. And the bottom line is, pretty much, we're in an endurance test, if you will, and endure means to make hard. So with all these different things that we're going through, the Lord is making us harder and harder to be able to deal with the final test, which is that temptation that's going to come upon all the world, spoken of in Revelation 3 and 10, that the Lord is going to keep us from, the mark of the beast, okay, in Revelation 13. But I want to go a little bit into endurance scriptures. So, Lord, in this edifying lesson, I'm going to start with this one in Sirach, chapter 1 and 23. A patient man will tear for a time, so you're going to be enduring, and it's going to have its time. Your trial and tribulation is going to have its time. Even ultimately, this slavery, this captivity we're in, has a time. It will come to an end. It says, and afterward joy shall spring up unto him. And that's, we're going to have the joy, man. All right. Ultimately, this truth gives us joy. It gives us a hope of the kingdom, because if we didn't have that hope, the scriptures say, hope deferred, right? move this. Hope deferred. Let me get that scripture. Right, let me move this as much as I can. There we go. Proverbs chapter 13 and verse 12. Hope deferred maketh the heart sick, but when the desire cometh, it is a tree of life. You know, and that reminds me of a scripture in Hebrews. I believe it's in Hebrews. Is it Romans or Hebrews? Let's see now. About chastising. Bear with me. It talks about chastisement. So that's talking about chastisement. That's not. There we go. Hebrews chapter 12, verse 9. Furthermore, we have had fathers of our flesh which corrected us, and we gave them reverence. Shall we not much rather be in subjection unto the Father of spirits and live? You know, I will bear the indignation of the Lord because I have sinned against him. The Lord is putting us through the different trials and tribulations that we're going to go through, and we have to endure through it. Okay? But ultimately, you know, it's leading to what? It's leading to our benefit. It's leading to onto life. He says, for they verily for a few days chastened us after their own pleasure. But he for our profit, that we might be partakers of his holiness. That's a beautiful thing. You know, we at one point, we're in the world in darkness, without knowledge, without wisdom, you know, without any hope. And the Lord revealed himself to us, and we gained all those things. So, you know, gain is what? It's to our profit. So, as it is written, when you come to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation. We're going to go through different trials. Excuse me. We're going to go through different trials and tribulations. And, you know, if you have faith, the Lord is going to what? Bring you through. If you're of the elect, the Lord's going to bring you through all those different trials and tribulations to the other side. Okay? It says, now no chastening for the present seemeth to be joyous. You know, so you tearing for a while, you're enduring, you're dealing with that thing for a time. No chastening for the present seemeth to be joyous, but grievous. Nevertheless, afterward it yieldeth the peaceable fruit of righteousness unto them which are exercised thereby. Which is the beauty of it, because when you endure something for a while, you come out on the other end. You come out stronger, because remember, we said endure means what? To make hard. You come out stronger, okay? You become more fortified in your thoughts, you know, in your wisdom, in your knowledge, in your experience, and it builds your faith. So really, it's for your profit. Because when you're going through something at a time, however long it might be, you might be thinking, man, well, you know, this is like, when is this going to end? You know, how long am I going to have to endure this? But hey, well, Ezra did that. Okay, he was talking about the heathen, and the Lord basically schooled him and said, look, these are the signs, man. That's when this is when it's going to happen. You know, so when you're going through something, you know, a different trial, because the ultimate trial, we have hope that the Lord's going to come and deliver us from it, right? And then you have all these mini trials within the trial that you go through, okay, in this walk of ours. And, you know, you might be going through a particular situation where you're having to endure that situation. And, man, it's beautiful. From my experience, every time there's just exponential joy and growth that comes on the other side of that. So it's always for your profit. If you're coming to serve the Lord, if you're sincere, if you're the elect, it's for your profit, man. Not for your destruction. Wherefore, lift up the hands which hang down and the feeble knees. Okay, so, you know, basically, man, be strong, man, you know? Trust in the Lord. Trust that he's got a plan. And So when you're going through these different trials and tribulations, you're gonna come out on the other end like gold, man. Because the Lord wants some good things for you, right? This is Sirach chapter 2, verse 1. It says, "My son, if thou come to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation." So you got to prepare yourself, right? It says, "Set thy heart aright and constantly endure." So that means that you don't get no rest by it. Because look, this is not our rest. Ultimately, we're in the kingdom. That's when we're gonna have our rest from all of this. But right now we're in hell. We're in Esau's kingdom. We're in captivity. So it's got to be a constant endurance. You don't let up. But every time you endure through a mini trial, you get stronger and stronger, man. And it builds up your faith for Jacob's trouble, for that large trial that's coming, the chip. And constantly endure and make not haste in time of trouble. Cleave onto him, don't run away. Okay? Face it head on, man, with faith. Cleave unto him and depart not away, that thou mayest be increased at thy last end. So ultimately there's an increase coming. Hey, what did Apostle Peter say to Yahushua? He asked him, what we're gonna get. We're giving up all of this. What we're gonna get? Yahushua told him, man, you're gonna be sitting on thrones. You're gonna be having this and everything you lost. You're gonna give that and then some. Roughly paraphrasing. Okay. So this for that, quid pro quo. We're getting something for what we're putting in. And the Lord is a just power, man. Okay. "Whatsoever is brought upon thee, take cheerfully, and be patient when thou art changed to a lower state. For gold is tried in the fire, and acceptable men in the furnace of adversity." So if you got to be acceptable, then you got to endure. And the scriptures say regarding endurance, right? It says, "Those that endure or is it them that endure? All right, let's get a couple of scriptures while I'm looking for a particular scripture, but let's just read this. This is James chapter 1, verse 12. "Blessed is the man that endureth temptation, for when he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life, which the Lord hath promised to them that love him." Now, that's the ultimate prize, man. Getting crowned by the Lord. The Lord looking at you like, I'm gonna crown you because you did it, man. And you can say to the light, Apostle Gabar always says in his videos, how do you say it, man? Like he wants to be able to stand before the Lord and say, "I did what you told me to do, Lord," And it's true. That's a beautiful thing. The Lord has given us, a business to take care of, something to do. Okay, it's the most important job in existence. Okay, that a man can do. So it's a grave responsibility, man. So when you come to the other end of that this arduous task, you're enduring for everything, and you're not letting up. You're still pushing this word. You're still teaching. You're still doing what you need to do. Okay. Then you can actually stand before the Lord and have that honor. Now you're gonna have those of our people that the 2/3 they're gonna have that dishonor for rejecting the Lord. Okay. So it's a beautiful thing. James 5:11. "Behold, we count them happy which endure. Ye have heard of the patience of Job." Patience goes into suffering, and Job means persecution. He's persecuted. "And have seen the end of the Lord, that the Lord is very pitiful and of tender mercy." So the Lord, hey man, the Lord is gonna have mercy, man. But you gotta endure. You gotta go through the trial and the tribulation, man. You gotta gold. Hey, you gotta be like gold. Okay, and what happens to gold? Gold goes through that purification process and comes out on the end as pure gold, man. Gets all that, is refined and it gets that heat. So we got to become in that same stead to hit that level of value, if you will. Which it's all of the Lord. And that's how the elect are going to be. And we are the hopeful elect. So if you believe, then you do. And faith is a gift. That's Ephesians the 2nd chapter and the 8th verse. Which ultimately we know, man. We understand that the elect are they're gonna pass the test. They're gonna do it, and we believe that we're of the elect. That's why we do the things that we do. You know, we come out in the highways and byways, we teach this word, we make our bodies a living sacrifice, we do these videos. No matter what, it doesn't matter what you're going through. The brothers are going through all kinds of sorts of things in their lives. You know, but we're still teaching, we're still putting up videos. We're still trusting in Yahweh Shemel Shai. You know? And that's it's a commendable thing to behold, man. Okay, let me see if it's in Matthew 24. Because it's surprised I don't remember where it is. Yeah, straight in Matthew 24. This is Matthew chapter 24, verse 13. But he that shall endure unto the end. That's the thing. You can, if you endure for a while and then you're gone, don't matter. You got to endure to the end. Make full proof of thy ministry. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. So if you endure, you're going to be saved, man. And you got brethren that, you know, of the elect that have died in this truth. Okay? They're with the Lord, man, and they're good. They're going to be one of the first to come back with the Lord. Okay? And they endured. And the Lord, decided that, hey, their spirit was required. And, although they went from among us in the flesh, ultimately, they're going to be coming back with the Lord, and they're alive with the Lord right now. Okay? And they endured. Right? Let's read that. That's First Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 13. But I would not have you to be ignorant, brethren, concerning them which are asleep, that ye sorrow not, even as others which have no hope. See, we have hope. We know. We don't sorrow in the same way. Yeah, we're in the flesh. You can miss brothers and all that. But hey, ultimately, we know we're going to see them in the kingdom. There's a job to do. We still got to do what we got to do. They did their part. For if we believe that Yahushua died and rose again, even so them also which sleep in Yahushua will God bring with him. That's right. So nothing's really lost. For this we say unto you by the word of the Lord, that we which are alive and remain unto the coming of the Lord shall not prevent them which are asleep. For the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trump of Yahweh, and the dead in Hamashiach shall rise first. Then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds, which are the chariots, so-called UFOs, to meet the Lord in the air, and so shall we ever be with the Lord. Wherefore comfort one another with these words. So, hey, endurance is key, man. No matter what it might be, endurance. Them that endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. So that's what we're doing, So whatever trial and tribulation you're going through, remember that it's for a time and for a season. And ultimately you're gonna get that joy out of it, man. All right. And yeah, the Lord puts us through these, what I call like mini trials. Different, you ain't been saved yet, but it's like different things that the Lord puts you through. And you think, man, but you pray to the Lord, you have faith, and the Lord brings you out on the other side, and you're good. And sometimes He'll put you in situations where you think, like you've messed up, like like how am I gonna get out of this, or what's the end of this gonna be? But the Lord will put you in a situation, and He'll actually, on the other end, can even put you in a situation that you wasn't even expecting. A result that you wasn't even expecting, and actually it turns out to be even better for you, because the Lord knows what needs we have and what's good for us, man, better than ourselves. He created us. Okay, so hey, just a quick lesson on endurance, man. Lord willing, it was edifying, and to build up the church. And with that, man, I'm gonna say shalom to the Lord's elect.